Good evening, Matthews parents. You are about to view a video that contains clips taken right here at Matthews over the course of the last 2 weeks. Students and teachers in this video were filmed participating in literacy activities that conform to the requirements of our Balanced Literacy Initiative. As teachers and students have been learning the routines and procedures for this new way of looking at reading instruction, you can see that we've made great strides even within this short period that we've been at school. Let's go ahead and dive in. We'll begin with shared reading. In kindergarten, first grade, and part of second grade, students participate in shared reading, where the text, large enough for all to see, is shared between the teacher and students. Watch as Ms. Chahill guides students in a shared reading of a big book, reminding students to attend to punctuation.
Did you say red? Question mark. Listen to how my voice goes up. Can you say that? Did you say red? Listen now. A Santa red, a stop sign red, a cherry, berry, very red. Did you say red? Yes, I said red. And look how big it is, because that means you make your voice big and exclamation point, so you show a lot of Ready? Yes, I said red. Good job. You don't mean green. Look, here is green, a pickle green, a big frog green, a leaf, a tree, a green bean green. Did you say green? No, I said red. Okay, everybody. No, I said red.
A major component of our reading program is Reader's Workshop. Reader's Workshop consists of mini lessons, independent reading, conferences between students and teachers, sharing with partners, and writing about reading, including writing long in letter format, reader's notebooks, or on paper, and stop and jots, which occur during mini lessons and during independent reading. These written responses allow students' thinking to become visible to both the teacher and her fellow students. The reading workshop usually begins with the mini lesson. In the mini lesson, the teacher shares a strategy proficient readers use and models it for students, often from a familiar text. Then, she gives students an opportunity to practice the strategy before sending them off to read their self-selected texts. Watch as Mrs. Bish explains a synthesized retelling to her students, models it using the class read-aloud, and then asks them to practice with a partner. Before sending them off to read on their own, she reiterates the purpose, reminding students this is something they can use today and every day.
This week we have been learning a lot about retelling. We talked about retelling like we went to the movies, and we always want to share our books so that we talk like we went to the movies and we tell people, we try to convince them to read this book. Then yesterday we talked about retelling in small steps or retelling in the big steps. So we wanted to make sure that we retell using big steps. Well, today I'm going to teach you another way to retell, because when we retell in big steps, sometimes you have to go back to what you already read to kind of refresh the memory, because your companion may not really understand what you're telling them unless you tell them something that happened before. So I'm going to model that today. I'm going to use Wonder, which we've all read. We've all been reading Wonder. And so I'm going to model a retell today where I have to go back and explain something from the past. It's actually called a really big word. It's actually called synthesized retelling. Everybody say that word?
Synthesized retelling.
And that's just a big word where you have to think and go back and tell something that you already learned before. So, watch me as I model this. This chapter. Did you guys already read Jack's point of view?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we did.
Why I changed my mind. Why I changed my mind. What else? Who else did Mr. Tushman call? I asked Mom later that night. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian, I said, ugh. Why Julian? You used to be friends with Julian. Mom, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is. And he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, said Mom, at least Julian agreed to help this kid out. Got to give him credit for that. I suddenly felt bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian who are jerks. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice enough kid, can be that mean, then a kid like August doesn't stand a chance in middle school. Okay, so if I have my reading companion, and Michael here is going to be my reading companion, and I'm going to retell him what I read today. Watch me what I say. So, Jack, I'm at the part of the story when Jack, it's Jack's point of view, and his mom asked him to come to the school to be friends with this guy that's got something wrong with his face. But you have to know about way back when in August the boy, he's getting ready to come to this new school, so you have to know that piece from earlier in the story because Augie's coming to this new school and he's got something really, really wrong with his face. So earlier in the story, the principal had called the parents and asked them if their kids could do this. But we already know from previously in the story, did Jack do it? Yeah, so Jack, we know that he's already going to do it. But remember, this book is a perfect book as far as flashing back. This book has a lot of flashbacks in it. Have you been seeing flashbacks since you've been reading this book? Okay. Lots of flashbacks as we read in this book. So you have to always, or not always, but sometimes you're going to have to go back and refresh your companion's mind. You with me, Ava? You're going to have to refresh your companion's mind on some things that they may not know about. And of course, it's probably going to be a big event, not a small event. Okay? Because do I need to say that Jamie needs a juice box? No. That's not really important to this part of the story. Yeah, I'm going to tell you that, Jamie's like really scared of this boy and had nightmares. But in all actuality, is that really the most important part of the story? Jamie really doesn't have anything to do with this story, so it's really not important to even bring Jamie into this story. Okay? What I want you to do right now is I want you to turn and talk with your reading companion about a story that you may have read that you have to go back. And if you were like retelling, you would have to go back and give that person some additional information. Turn and talk. Let the sun shine in. Open up your heart. Let the sun shine in. I need to see you. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so as I was listening, I actually heard a perfect one. Lainey back there was talking about the one and only Ivan. And she said Ivan was making a picture. And he was making a picture and he was hiding some different pieces of it, but he was trying to make a word or a letter. And she said, you would have to know about the billboard because he's always looking at the billboard out on the highway. So he was trying to make something big stand out like a billboard. So you would have to know about the billboard previously in the story to know that he was trying to make a letter to try to help Ruby escape. So, today and every day, when you go off to read, I want you to be thinking about what you're going to retell your companion. Remember, we're going to retell what we read today. And if you need to go back and give some refresher information from a previous chapter, you need to do that. So remember, we want to retell in big steps. We want to retell like a movie. And we want to do a synthesis retell, so that if we're retelling something that we read today, that we go back and give some information that's important to help understand what we read today. Because readers may not understand what you read today unless you give them some additional information. Just like we talked about, sometimes it's hard to get into books at the beginning because the author's given us some background information. So sometimes you have to refresh your reader and give them that background information that they may need from a previous chapter. So, readers, off you go. Don't forget to fill out your log for 30 minutes.
Independent reading and conferring. Independent reading is just that. Students work independently, reading quietly, or writing responses to their reading in notebooks or on sticky notes, noting poignant, confusing, surprising, or otherwise noteworthy places to then share with partners. Later in the year, students will also bring these ideas to discuss in book clubs. As you watch the following clips, note the teacher's role during this time. See as Mrs. Wade helps a student decode the word marbles by referring to a chunk of the word, specifically R, as in the word hard, read on a previous page by the student. Similarly, you can see Miss Letchworth encouraging her young reader to chunk word parts, as he demonstrates by reading ing as the chunk ing. Miss Russell, seeing two students struggling with the same strategy, using context clues, confers with both at once and sends them off to practice after meeting with them briefly. From kindergarten to 5th grade, students are recording reading in logs, writing about reading, and scattered about the room reading as the teacher works with individual students.
Look at the picture. You know what those are? Okay, let's see. My. Get your mouth ready. Let's go back and look at this word. Remember what this word was? What was that word? Hard. The AR makes the R sound. Look, there's that AR again. Not markers. Next letter. You have to look at the whole word. Do you know what these are? Yeah. Do you know what marbles? They are colors. Yeah. These are marbles. You know what marbles are? They're little round balls. Okay, so that's why his bed was bumpy. See, there's marbles in there. Okay, try this one.
Dear Mom and Dad, today is down the past table. We picked on PH side. The F sound. Oh yeah. Yeah, right? If you look here, because we don't say this sound separately, right? We put PH together to say, okay? So I think what you're doing in your mind was saying, I put that PH together, it's going to say and not two separate sounds. Perfect. So that's called chunking. So you were using a tool, and you didn't even know it, of chunking your sounds to figure it out. Right? Here, when you figured out this word, haunting, and you told me this before. What does the ing chunk say in haunting? Ing. So you are chunking words, taking apart little pieces of the word to figure out tricky words. Okay, keep reading. I'm going to listen for you. Do some more chunking. One thing on one field. Big dog, little dog, red dog, blue dog, yellow dog, green dog, black dog, and white dog are all a dog party. Was a dog party. Hello again, and now to you.
Interactive read aloud. In addition to independent reading, students are given access to text that is outside of their just right level. The teacher holds the text and does the decoding so students can focus on comprehending, thinking hard about what the text literally means and beyond what the text means. Watch as Mrs. O'Donnell asks students to make an inference about a character's actions even as young as in kindergarten, while Mrs. Giovinco asks her students to make and confirm or adjust their predictions while attending to vocabulary. In the upper grades, you can see students writing as their teacher, Miss Hollis, opens her brain for them, encouraging them to discern important from curious information in the text. Examples not featured include teachers encouraging students to respond to sensory information in the text and write their own personal connections to the stories they are reading to allow them to extend their thinking while allowing teachers to peer into their thinking.
That means something special. Why would she bring something special to school? They were picking on her, and she needed something on her own to make herself feel good. She knows when she gets home, Mom and Dad are going to make her feel good, but at school, she's having a little bit of trouble. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. But Willie didn't stop. Willie was in a big hurry. I want you to turn to your partner. Partners one share first, then partner two. Why is Willie running away very quickly? What do you think, Trey? What? Okay, so I agree with you. You said you agree with that? All right, 3. And 2 partners. And 1. Let me see listening with whole body. 3. I'll show you the picture. Ready? Think about what you just shared with your partner. Give me a thumbs up if your prediction was correct. All right. And thumbs down. And we'll continue reading. Raise your hand if you can see there. He has no collar. He has no leash, said the dog warden. This dog is a stray. He doesn't belong to anybody. Where did we see that word stray before? Raise your hand. Sebastian.
On the cover.
Does anyone remember what that word means? Raise your hand. What does the word stray mean, Trajan? Good, so nobody owns this dog who does not belong to anybody.
He's afraid of them. Just get in the house this minute, Clifford Snyder yelled, and his face turned red. Now I'm going to stop right there, readers, because remember after a paragraph or a big chunk of text we need to stop and think, I wonder, what are you thinking right now about this man, Mr. Snyder? I'm wondering if he has something to do with the farm, the crop. Would that be something important to wonder about, to think about, to the text? Mm-hmm. Yeah? So that's something I might be writing down. Little Willie left Searchlight outside, but Clifford Snyder wouldn't put his gun away until they were all the way to Grandfather's bedroom. And then he insisted that little Willie shut the door. Grandfather's eyes were wide and open and fixed on the ceiling. He looked much older and much more tired than he had this morning. You are no better than other folks, Clifford Snyder began as he lit up a long, thin cigar and blew smoke up into the ceiling. And anyway, it's the law, plain and simple. Little Willie didn't say anything. He was busy combing grandfather's hair, like he did every day when he got home. Okay, readers, I want us to stop, look at our sticky notes, your thinking. Choose one, please, right now. Carly, do you got one? And with your partner, share your sticky notes, share your wondering, your thinking. You come over here. Right now to your partner. Share with her. Readers, I heard a lot of good questions, and we're going to talk after about if our questions were important to the text or curiosity. And let's keep thinking about that, because I really want to find out who this guy is and what he wants. Don't you?
We know striking a balance between reading and writing is critical to students' success in language arts, so we provide strong instruction in words, decoding, spelling, and vocabulary, as well as writing. Word study. The research on phonics instruction is clear. We must be explicit and teach the code to the majority of our students rather than expecting them to pick it up. While we provide a literature-rich environment for students studying a variety of genres, we also spend time attending to phonemic awareness and phonics. Teachers use a variety of methods and programs to make sure this occurs. One program being used in 2nd through 5th grade is Words Their Way by Baer and Invernizzi. This program focuses on sorting word patterns and ensuring we meet students where they are on a spelling continuum that matches how readers progress. Rather than the rote memorization of a few words a week, words that are soon forgotten, students learn patterns and compare and contrast words that fit in 2 or more patterns, as this aligns with what we know about how the brain likes to organize information. Watch as Miss Boyd builds on students' knowledge of short vowels to compare the short and long U in her word study group, while Mrs. Scheich builds fluency with phonemic awareness skills of differentiating between the ch, sh, and th sounds, as students in both classes have fun. Even our 5th graders are actively engaged as they sort multisyllabic words for long and short vowel sounds where those syllables meet.
Good job. A-E-I-O-U. Last one, you remember that short U? E-I-O-U. And here's what we're working on this week, short U. Macaroni and cheese, everybody freeze. Bottoms back to back, bottom to bottom, feet on the floor. We know that we have been talking about that U short sound. U short vowel says ah. Ooh, but we've also been talking about long vowel U. And he thinks he's so cool. He says, hi, my name is U. job. We also added ooh, right? There you go. Okay, ready? Speed sort. When you're done, hold up your hand. Go ahead, speed sort. See if we can get those sounds. Say them in your head or whisper them to yourself as you go. Good. That sound in your head. Good. All right, Sabrina, you're going now. 46 seconds. Is that what's important?
Writing. Another aspect of balanced literacy, of course, is writing. We follow the same general format with writing as we do with Reader's Workshop. Students write about self-selected topics. They set goals, revise and edit, and finally take a few pieces to publication, all with support from the teacher via conferences, mini-lessons, and feedback. Like all aspects of the program, we encourage students to reflect on their own work alone and with partners. Watch as Ms. Thomas guides writers to set goals and share those goals, while establishing a culture of writing during workshop. As the year progresses, she and other teachers will help students create published products across a variety of genres, while honing their craft, learning to focus, elaborate, develop voice and coherence in their pieces as they become more fluent writers. This is achieved, again, through the mini-lesson and through the support given in the conference, as demonstrated by Miss Deli as she guides a writer through the creation of a Fortunately, Unfortunately book.
You said that you did meet your writing goal, okay? My goal is to have all of you finish your draft, give you enough time to write today so you can finish this draft. You may have a more specific goal that you want to meet today. Alright, so you wrote your writing goal, you shared it with a partner, your partner close to you, so you have some support on your side. Well, we always get to that stage where we're like, I'm done. I don't have anything else to do. But are we ever really done?
No.
No. So I want us to look at this question and brainstorm some things. Because this happened to one of our classmates last week. He didn't know what to do next. Okay? And so he just sat there. And I don't want him to waste his time. I want him to use his time wisely. Or her use her time wisely. Okay? So if you're not sure what to do next, what can you do? Hold on. Think about it for just a second. Share with your partner really quickly, and then we'll put some ideas up here.
Yeah, the students read poems and yeah, so they were having a what?
Holiday?
No, not a holiday. How were you feeling?
Happy.
Yeah, so they were feeling happy. So that's why you say fortunately, because they're feeling happy. See, fortunately means good, something good is happening. Okay, so fortunately it was Dr. Susan's birthday. Now write was what you just said, because look, we are summarizing. We're not just writing word for word, but tell me what you just said again. They were reading. Yeah, because it was just an ordinary day. It was just an ordinary day. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you again for coming. I also want to take a brief moment to thank all of the teachers and students who participated in this video for opening their doors and sharing with you all of the learning and the hard work that's going on in their classrooms. We appreciate your time and theirs. Have a good evening.